Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new session of the Continuous Testing Meetup. Usually Diego is the host, but today his internet connection is not the best, so I will take over, and he's still around, but he's not hosting today. First, a little bit of housekeeping. The last session is online now, so if you missed last month's session with Marie Drake, then you can go to our website and check out the video there. Today, we also don't have a 5-minute ICQB vocabulary with Oksana. So without further ado, let me introduce to Kai, who will talk about automation and test today. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. I will start to share my screen. So now the screen, yeah, okay. So yeah, so fine. Hello, my name is Kai Grebenstein. I work for the ZEISS Digital Innovation in Dresden, and I also prepared no ICQB vocabulary today, but I didn't know, so Oksana didn't told me. So yeah, so now I'm a little bit confused. I don't remember anything about ICQB vocabulary. Maybe I have to think about. Okay, but today it's my topic. My talk is about automation and testing, and it's not test automation. It's a talk about how to simplify your daily testing business, because we are testers. Also, a lot of my colleagues, as we have our ZEISS Digital Innovation is about 340 employees and 60 testers in our company, in our business unit. And a lot of these colleagues are, so-called in Deutsch Quereinsteiger, in English here, so career changers. So we have, so they are not, they have some IT background, but not all of them. And so, testing is a little bit human driven, manual driven. So we have a lot of things to do. We have our goal is to find bugs, but we have a lot of other things to do, like report creation, test data to find, to collect, and to provide, and to to create test data, and all these are things they stop us from making, doing the right things, like bug finding. And the idea of automation and testing, it's not my idea. It's the idea from Bradshaw and Winteringham. It's to automate all this boring stuff, all these things. Like the automation testing is the mindset and namespace that promotes human-centric automation within the context of testing. And automation and testing focus on strategy, creation, usage, and education of automation that truly supports our testing activities. It means we want to automate all these boring stuff, all this all these tasks that keep us away from bug finding, like reporting and so on. And today I want to share with you some experience, some good practices we found during in our projects, in our Scrum projects, in our testing services. Our company provides we provide full Scrum teams for individual software development, and we offer teams and colleagues for individual test services. And within these projects, we found some solutions, some good practices to show you examples for this automation and testing. And let's start. Severin, where you come from? Where's your company?
My company,
yeah,
it's called Reply, and it's like all over Europe, but mostly from Milan.
I see. So because like for Diego, because the first step is these are good practices based on tools, and I will show you and name some tools today, but there are other tools. These are only examples to show the good practices. There are other tools. I will try to name alternatives, tools, and alternative solutions, but I don't want to promote these tools. I get no money. That's only, I have to use some tools for the example. So especially 0.6 up later. So yeah, so let's start. The first example, good practice is screen to GIF. And I told you there are a lot. We have to do a lot of things during testing, and one of these things are bug tracking. We have to find. We found a bug during our test sessions in a classical waterfall V model based or agile project, and with your agile project, yeah, you have the chance, if you found a bug as a tester, you could scream to the or go to the developer, dance a little bit around, say, yeah, I found a bug, cool, take a look at it, or maybe you're a little bit far away and have no chance to speak directly to your colleague, so you have to note this issue in a bug tracking tool. And the typical way is, yeah, write down, or not the best way is to write, it doesn't work. It's maybe a little bit too, yeah, it doesn't help during the bug analyzing and the bug fixing. So you write down, you know, where do you found it? What are the tasks to reproduce? What was the tool? What was the time? What was the environment, and so on. And you create, and when you write down the task to reproduce this bug, you start to create some screenshots. And so you have to create a screenshot before, screenshot afterwards, and so on. And one idea is to support this thing, it's or to optimize this this task is to use a screen capturing tool. And but screen capturing tool with the output file as a video file, for example, it's not a good idea, because Seth told me he's working with a MacBook. If he starts to create some videos on a MacBook and try to push these to the, or to deliver these to your colleagues, and it's with a Microsoft, also with a Windows operating device, it's not working, because maybe the codec is not the same. So our good practice for the first one, it's screen to GIF. We are using screen to GIF. It records, it's a screen recorder, but the output, it's animated GIF file. And you could, yeah, you use this file as with a typical screen recorder. There is this frame where you could frame, yeah, cover the section where you want to record. If you store this, if you store a result, you have an editor. You could delete, change some frames, doing some drawing to highlight some special, some special areas, and so on. And in the end, you could. At the end, you could fill this animated GIF into your bug tracking tool like Jira, Atlassian Jira, or Azure DevOps, and it's with the help. Also, it's the most all these tools, all the browser-based bug tracking tools show these animated videos, which starts by themselves if you open the issue or the artifact, the bug. And it's an easy way to support your bug tracking and to help to visualize the issue and to support the bug analyzing and the bug fixing. The next thing I want to talk about, it's X-ray, and it's the one-click report. I know we are using Atlassian Jira, and in our Java and web-based projects, we are using Azure DevOps. There are a lot of other tools. I get no money from Expand or X-ray or from Jira. So, but yeah, one big thing we have to do in our projects is to create reports. I know, Seth, you're working in Agile projects. Yeah, so you will say, report, a report, I don't have to do reports in the Agile project. Why I have to reports? It's nonsense, it's gone, you have not to report anything. But it's not true, but sometimes we have to do it, because I told you I'm working for ZEISS, and in the ZEISS group, we are working for the ZEISS Medical. And the ZEISS Medical, they create medical devices. And medical devices is a little bit different, because they are working in agile models too, as they're working with Scrum. But if you want to bring a medical device into the market, like America or European Union, for America, you have the FDA, and you have to follow a a lot of compliance, a lot of rules to, also you have to go a very tough assessment to bring these products into the market. And one of these compliance is to store everything, all test results, reports, down to the unit tests, 10 years, the results of the unit tests and so on. And you have to create reports and so on. And if, maybe if you're in the finance sector or in the energy sector, you have to follow these similar compliance too. So not for all, and I know in the agile way, you have not only to document what's necessary, but sometimes you have to follow some compliance and have to do more documentation. And if you have to do this, you could use X-ray, and this is a reporter, one-click report. You could provide a simple, small template with your logo, with your design here, and the test results in X-ray are stored in a so-called issue called test execution with all the test cases and all the results. Also, this test execution in the normal, shows you this dashboard in the normal Jira X-ray view. But with the one click and with the help of this prepared template, with all your logos, with your design and so on, with the help of the Jira query language, all this information, this dashboard, the test results, down to the test run results, like all the test cases, the test runs, down to the comments and screenshots and so on, will be stored and exported in this test report. One click and it's fine. And you can enhance this thing with the help of this tool too, because sometimes you have some flexible components in this report. You have to change maybe the date or the some information, some paragraphs and so on. And with the help of Confluence, you can fill this flexible content into Confluence, and it's included in this template too with one click. And so you have, because I remember when I was a test manager a long time ago. Yeah, long time ago. Oh God, I'm old. I have to. I take all this information from the test management tool, fill it in Excel, try to take the diagrams into a Word document and fill some texts and so on. It was a long time of daily business, and it takes hours. And so we have one click. It's if you have to do this, it's a good solution. And maybe it's working for other tools too. As we are working with this, it's working, it's fine. Yeah. And so I get no money from Jira. So please, the next example, automated reports for automated tests. It's based on our experience with X-ray and Jira too, because now all these content inside these reports are manual, testing based. But there are some automated tests, for example, too, and you have to store it. You have to you document this one to keep it 10 years. And if you run your automated tests, your unit tests, your service tests, the result will be an XML file or JSON file. And it looks maybe similar to this one here, like this. It's created with the Surefire plugin, with Maven and Jenkins, and it's you could see the test names, the test run names, and how many failures, how many errors, and so on. But if you want to include these into your test report, it's possible to do this with X-ray too, or with Azure DevOps. In X-ray, you could import these test results, JSON-based, JSON files or XML files, here manual with these import test execution results, and you can include this information in these test reports I told you before too. So you have all your information stored in one report or in one dashboard, in one tool. It helps not only for reporting, it's for to take a look at your current test results, or to get an impression, to start get impression of your test results, the test process for your retrospectives, and so on. to have all this information in one tool, it's a good idea. And it's possible to include this via REST APIs and via plugins too. So it's, yeah, if you run a Jenkins, this one is a plugin. It's a screenshot of the plugin in Jenkins to include, also if you run your nightly build, all the XML files were directly stored and pushed into the project of X-ray project in Jira. It's working with JUnit and TestNG, NUnit, robot framework, and it will be more over the years, but it's possible with Azure DevOps 2 and other tools. Also, you could check. Also, it's all these things I told you. I will tell you today. It's ideas to open your mind, to think about what's possible to do test automation to optimize your daily process. And I try to open your eyes, and maybe some of these ideas will help you. The next thing, it's record explorative tests. What tool will I present you now? It's X-ray tool. Okay, yeah, but it's based on our. But this thing, it's not reporting. It's test result reporting, because it's the idea and about explorative testing and session-based testing. Seth, you're doing session-based testing and explorative testing in your projects too?
Usually as part of acceptance, the developer shows what he did, and we go through it together.
Yeah. And do you record the results, or it's only yeah, oral, or it's
barely? I work in e-commerce, and the standards are much lower. I don't have to report to a higher.
You mark the point. Also it's because we discussed this one. Also we discussed session-based testing and explorative testing with the colleagues of the ZEISS Medical, and they told us, oh, it's not allowed, because we have to document everything, and documentation means test cases and test run protocols. Also, yeah, but we go a little bit deeper in the discussion, and we recognized only the documentation. It's the important thing in the compliance, so we start to think about session-based testing, and now we are allowed to do session-based testing in our projects for ZEISS Medical, but we have to store the information. And not only barely, we have to store everything. Like now you can, also we have to create, also we started with the test kata to write down, also the session, the tool we want to do, the environment, and so on. Also we have to store this, all this information and the results and the things we do and done during the test session. And we could, as we start with some Word-based documents, templates, and the idea was now to do this, to find a tool for this. And X-ray offers, with the version 4 of X-ray, Xpand offers this X-ray explorative tool. It's a small tool, Mac-based and Windows-based, and you could write down here in the start all the test sessions, also like the environment, the information of the session, the test kata with some annotations. And when you start a test session, it records the time, and it records all the things like videos, video and audio. You could start to talk about what you're doing to optimize the reflection or the information about what you've done during the test session. And when you store this information, it's stored as a zip file with the video and the PDF documentation, but that's the USP of this tool. You could connect this tool to your Jira server, and it will push this information, all the results, the videos, into the Jira, in the Jira test execution. And it's stored and creates some test cases for all the sessions. And so you have all this information in your Jira, but you could use it standalone to store this information, and it will help. It will help you in this way. You have to collect the things, but it's not only for the compliance. I told you I'm an old man, so I forgot a lot of things. Maybe I think I don't remember what I done last week or so. And if I try to remember, oh, was it working when I tested it? So the documentation helps you maybe to, if you forget a lot of things or you have or too busy. And it's not only Jira. Also there's a similar tool in Azure DevOps. It's called test and feedback, not with all the functionalities this X-ray tool provides, but is providing. But yeah, you could do screenshots, record the sessions, 8 notes, and both of these tools could you are able to create bugs and tasks and during your test session and test cases too. So next thing. I told you I'm an old man. Yep, and we started some tests with Postman. Maybe you know Postman, and it's an API tool to develop API environment. Also, and you could debug, mock design, document your APIs, and you could test it too. And if you run these tests, you test this one in the Postman tool in the app, or you can run these Postman tests with Newman. It's the command line tool, and the result of these test runs are in the command line. As here in this on the screen is a ASCII-based table, and for all the results. So if you for the defects and so on, and yeah, now if you want to collect all this information, you can start with Excel and use Excel, but it's not a good idea. So I told you, if I want to remember, was this test working 3 weeks ago, it's a good idea to store this information in a better way. And for example, with Postman, Newman, as the command line tool for the collections of Postman, collections are these test case containers of Postman. It's Node.js based, so you can add some plugins like the so-called Newman Reporter HTML plugin. And it provides the test result, or it stores the test results in an HTML file, a standalone HTML file with snapshots and so on. And if you're running these during your nightly builds, or if you're running this manual, as a start the automation test manual, it's stored in a folder with this with a snapshot and named after your test cases and test runs. And you could take a look at, as it's a detailed view. It's only here part of the of this HTML file. It's a detailed view with this dashboard and all the details of the test runs with screenshots and so on. And you could take a look. Yeah, you could jump 2 or 3 months back and take a look. Was it working at this time? And the coolest feature of this thing is it's possible to switch to light and dark screen. Yeah, for all the colleagues who love this feature. Good. I heard about Microsoft starts to provide a dark theme for Microsoft Word. Yeah. Okay. I don't know who loves this. You could raise the hand, for example. Okay. Good. The next thing I want to discuss with Diego, because it's about cloud platform, and maybe Diego knows companies which provide cloud testing platform for cross-browser testing. It's about but my fault is we are using BrowserStack. I'm so sorry, Diego. We are using BrowserStack, and I know there are companies, other companies, which providing similar tools and platforms. I want to name nothing. No names. Okay, like Source Labs, for example. Yeah, and the idea is we have an enterprise license for BrowserStack, and we are using this one for cross-browser testing. But it's a good idea, with a small change in your test case. Here, in this case, for a Java-based Selenium test, to set these capabilities and to change the remote web driver, you can every test is running with BrowserStack. And the result is here in the cloud of BrowserStack. In the cloud, on the website, you will find these test runs. All the test steps are named, and with the time, with the test results, with screenshots and more information, and a video is created. I did a talk some years ago about to optimize Selenium tests, and I recognized it's very tough to push to create some video recording into a Java-based Selenium tests. And you have to write a lot of things. You have to add some codec and codecs and so on. And here with Cyber as new tools, it's easier, but you have to think about documentation and so too. But with the help of these small lines and with the help of this cloud platform, you're able to create videos, and you have a website when you can check all your test runs and so on. It's an easy feature to support your documentation. Yeah, and there are other platforms too. And in my opinion, ZEISS Labs offers the same functionality. Diego, yeah. Also, you could ask Diego for this one. Also, yeah, please ask Diego. Good. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, the next thing is automated code coverage for manual testing. And Seth, you want to code coverage? It's not new. Yes, you will say, yeah, code coverage. We always do code coverage in our projects for unit tests and automated tests, or?
Not a fan, but yeah, mostly. You shouldn't use it as like the gold standard. If you have 100% coverage, doesn't mean it's a good project.
Yeah. I see. I know this. So I know a lot of colleagues which have some. They are masters in create some unit testings to cover the constructor and have 100% code coverage and something like this. It's funny. But code coverage, it's for automated testing. But we need Axana for the ISTQB terms. Test coverage. For manual testing, you have test coverage. The test coverage for manual testing for test cases. You have the requirements, the stories, the features, and based off the stories and the requirements, you create test cases. And maybe if you're using all these, ISTQB test founding elements like Grenzwertanalyse, it's what's called Grenzwertanalyse in English. Oh, what it's oh yeah, okay. We need Axana. Okay,
boundary value analysis.
Cool. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Per.
Yeah, and also with the help of these tools and methods, you try to create 100% test coverage. And code coverage is for white box test cases or white box test. Yeah, and you run your unit testing, you use unit test framework, and the tools like Jacoco or .cover take a look at the if all the methods or the of the if cases and so on, were handled during your tests. But it's possible to use these tools like Jacoco or .cover for manual testing too. And I show you here the result. I have here this my application under tests. It's a small address app. I started here this session. You have to change some entries in the Eclipse, and you run your manual tests. And afterwards, after my small test session, I recognized I have I covered about 50%. Yeah, and maybe it's a good idea. I don't know. The typical situation, or my idea to use these automation, these code coverage tools. It's the first step. It's if you think about you have 100% test coverage, and you run all your 100 test cases, and you run these automated test tools, and you recognized after your 100 test case runs, only 80% of the code are covered. What's happened? The developers create all the features, write the code for the features, but they start to think about, maybe this feature is a good idea too. It's not requested, but I will do this. Yeah, and it's a feature. It's included in the code. It's in the application under test. It's in your tool, in your product, and it could lead to bugs. It could, or to destroy data or break down the system or something like this. And but you, with the help of your test, the manual tester, say, I'm not to blame. I test everything what was requested. But yeah, that's one idea of usage of these tools. And the second one, it's to think about session-based testing. Yeah, also if you do your session-based testing, you could use these tools. Also here's another example, it's .cover. Also it's not only Jacoco for Java, it's other tools like .cover, and .cover provides this information and a short manual to run manual testing with manual tests with the .cover. Also it's a good idea to use this one for session-based testing, to run your session-based testing, your explorative testing, and take a look afterwards. How also did I also, yeah, what was covered during my test? Yeah, and there's a third tool. It's the most expensive tool in this case. It's TeamScale from CQSA, but it's a cool tool. It's it's more like, it's like SonarQube, but a little bit more. Also, and for example, it's in this way here, or this example, or this picture shows you a tree map with the, it shows the changes, also what was changed during the last commit, and what was covered with tests, automated and manual tests. Also it's, so maybe it's a good idea to think about, also, yeah, to think about use these automated coverage tests for manual testing too. And that's one of these examples. I told you before, we are testers, and a lot of my colleagues, I told you, are career changers. There's a concierge now working as a great test analyst, but with IT background and so on. But they all know the secrets the developer knows. And so we have to ask our developers, there are tools, they know some special tools, and maybe they could help us in our daily testing business too. And maybe you have to think a bit, out of the box to think about, to optimize your daily business with tests, also with automated things, not to automate everything, only what's necessary and what's boring stuff, which keep us apart from the daily testing, also to find bugs. And here you see a lot of dots, because maybe you have some own ideas too. One of these own idea I collected in one of my sessions before was a log analyzer. And one colleague in the audience told me they are using log analyzing during the test sessions, because typical situation, you're running your tests, 2 hours, yeah, Zeph, you're running your tests, 2 hours test sessions, yeah, everything works fine, you're interacting with the graphical user interface, you stored your data, everything's fine. After 2 hours, you take a look into your log file and see tons of errors, yeah, and now you have to go back and take a look, when was this error, when was this error raised, and what was the task or the test step I done during when this error was shown. And the idea is to create a log analyzer. Maybe as you could use a tool or write a Python script, or are using AutoHotkey, it's a Windows tool, and during my test run, this log analyzer take a look into the log file, and every time an error is shown, it shows us a message box or a LED signal. I have some special funny small LED stick. I love gadgets, as like, and I have some small LED stick here, and with the help of this small script, it's switch this LED stick to red, and and so I could check the log file, and it's typical situation for you run your test case and you store maybe some information, and no errors shown at the graphical user interface, but there is an error on the log, and so this is a typical situation, and this will help you to to optimize your daily business. And the last one thing, it's it's robot process automation. As a robot process automation, it's a known tool. It's for test automation and for optimizing the automate your task in your process. But Microsoft offers Power Automate Desktop. They offered this some months ago. It's free for the usage in Windows 10, and it's a small RPA tool. It's called, they called it RPA tool. I don't know it's real APA, but you could automate all the Windows tools. or the most of the Windows tools, and so could maybe to think about to clear your environment, to start with, to optimize your Excel, or to write down, create some macros for Excel to start, also to collect your test data and so on. Also to all these things in Windows, they are able to automate. So your daily business, you do every time, before, after, and after the tests. As with the help of this tool, maybe it's a good idea to automate this one. Okay. These are These are the ideas I want to show you. As it's a lot of ideas, and maybe we are able to use it, but I want to open your mind to think about, is it possible to automate some boring things, to ask the developer and say, okay, or you are a developer and think about how to support my tester. I will offer this, I will send you the PDF afterwards. And so you could add this PDF with the links, and you could try to check these tools. I told you the tools are only examples. There are other alternatives. You could also, I told you I get no money from the companies, and so So these only examples, and if maybe I have, it supports you to open your mind for this topic, automation and testing. And if you have some ideas, you could send me this information, some feedback, and maybe we could share some ideas now in the question and answer session. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool talk.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed the format. Very cool, very practical. My setup is totally different, but the ideas totally make sense regardless of what frameworks you're using. Mm-hmm. Aurelian, do you want to ask your question? Do we still have
No,
yes, I just, because I logged out and I forget my question. I cannot see
you were asking.
Yes, that's why I spoke about a lot of things about documentation. Yeah, because yes. Maybe you are young, but yes. But that's the same thing for me. As I'm old, I forgot everything, so I have to know this.
I actually documented your question in my Obsidian. It's a Markdown-based tool that I use for note keeping, which is also compatible with the Atlassian tools. So the formatting I put in here can also be copy and pasted. So that was my recommendation. So Aurelian, your question was, is Jacoco specific to a language or framework?
Jacoco, it's Java, Java, it's the acronym for Java code coverage, but so it's for Java, but .cover, and the tools behind JetBrains are .cover. It's for .NET, and there are other tools. And these both examples, I know these both examples are working with manual testing, but maybe there are other tools working with manual testing too. Also, I didn't check it. But both, Jacoco and .cover, I was checking, but in my opinion, independent on these tools and team scales, for example, you could, if you have this license, there are some manual and blog posts to they show how to record on not only the automated test, the manual tests too, and to include it into this information. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Roman, do you want to share your recommendation?
Yeah, so can you hear me?
Yep.
And yeah, I'm using Sentry, which is very good, mostly for recording exceptions in the code, but also it saves a lot of data related, like all the whole stack. And then another good one is Full Story, which is for recording all user interactions in the website. You can select like which domain and so on. And I think the best part is actually you can actually integrate them together. So if you get an exception reported in the code, then you can link it directly to what the user was doing. You can analyze, replay all their actions on the website. So
okay, so it's recorded.
That's very helpful.
So if you do your test run, the exceptions or the log entries are connected to your test runs, also test steps also.
Yeah, so the exceptions are logged
okay.
by if I do the test or anyone is doing anything on the website.
Okay.
And then I can actually replay from the full story all the interactions.
Cool.
You know, so I don't really need to record anything like video. I can then replace from full story and record video there separately. But I think it's most powerful when you integrate them together, because if you have like production side and you get an exception, it's hard to debug like what actually happened. But then when you have all the steps that the user did, it's could help a lot.
That's a pretty good example, good practice and example, and I will use this one in my talk because it's one of these 3 dots, or it's a extension of the log file analyzer, because that's one of these things which supports you during your daily business.
Very cool. Thank you, Roman. I wanted to add a small recommendation. It's a very small tool for recording GIFs on Mac. It's called GIFs. It doesn't allow you things like your cool tool where you can edit individual frames, but the upside is it's very quick to use. You can decide the resolution and things like that, and it's also very easy to just create a new GIF and just drag it right into your report in the browser, and it will go over there really quickly. It's very easy to use. I can recommend it. Oh yeah, and I had one question. Just to get an idea, how much data do you produce in a year? If you have to keep that stuff for like 10 years, I assume it's a bigger consideration of which tool you use, just based on the cost of storage and things like that.
I don't know, but maybe there are some reports or some collection, because there is their own rule. Also there's their own rule for these so-called documentation. Also, I don't know the name, or I forgot the name, but there's their own rule in the process for these, for the guys or the girls, also which doing this documentation, and they collect a lot of things, and they have to store it not on disk or something, because it's gone. Also, so for the 10 years, also I have no experience or I don't knowledge about it, but it's a funny question, because I have to ask. Yeah.
So when you introduce a new tool, they suffer. Okay, so it's not your problem.
So it's but it's it's not. Maybe it's some terabyte or something like this. Because you have to document everything. Also, and to keep and store everything.
Thank you very much. Anyone else has any questions?
Not so much a question, maybe, but rather kind of a weird recommendation. When it comes to automating, you also talked in the beginning a bit about test data, which is always a pain. But I myself am on the other side with being a developer. But as a QA person, I think it's important to remember that developers are also super lazy. So if they use some kind of test data for integration tests, it would probably be easy to get them to get you some interface, some API where you can create the same test data with some manual control and create big sets of test data instead of having it to do it manually, because we as engineers probably have some implementation code for creating test data anyway.
I forgot this. Yeah. That's a good point, and that's a good point, and an additional point in my documentation, because I know some examples, but I forgot them. I become old. Okay, good. I have to note more. I know some examples in our company. From our projects, the developers started to create some test case, some test data for the test cases. For their own, and they enhance this for the other tests too. It's Anja, thank you very much for this example and this Erinnerung. Okay, now forgot.
Reminder. You're welcome.
Reminder. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah, thank you very much. That's a good point. Yeah, thank you very much.
But this wasn't like a tool. This is just like a general rule. Talk to your developers. They can probably help you out with.
Yep.
Yes, because we really is lazy as fuck.
Yep.
And why not use what is probably already existing and enhance it a bit for the QA people?
I have one example. Also, I was working for I don't want to talk. It was the European Energy Exchange in Leipzig. It's the maybe all you know this one in Germany, because the European Energy Exchange is responsible for calculating the EEG Umlage. You have to pay at the end, yeah. And the colleagues, also the developers, create some tools to fill some stock-based energy data, and with one click for your data. And we didn't know this, and we recognized this one, and we are using this one in our stages and our test stages too, because they're using this on the dev stage, and we're using this in our test stages too. It's a beautiful example. Thank you very much, Anja. Yeah. And very often it's not tool-based. It's a small script the developers start to create, and with the next steps, with the next version, and user interface is created with buttons and so on, with some configuration thing, and so it becomes a monster afterwards. Yeah, on tool. Yeah, it's a good example. Yeah, good.
Thank you very much. Anyone else got any questions? Okay, then I will wrap it up.
Switch off the light a little bit. It becomes dark here in Dresden. Good.
All right, so slides, yes. So thank you, Kai. Just as a reminder, we have a website, continuoustestingmeetup.com. And in about, let's say, a week or two, you will find the recording of this session. And if you shared the slides or the links from the end with us, we can also provide them there. You can also see upcoming events and things like that. And so upcoming event, the next one is from Simon Pryor from EasyJet, growing a culture of quality. So I hope I will see you there, and thank you very much. And thanks again to Kai and for all your great questions and suggestions, and I wish you a nice evening. Goodbye.